Hey, look at this! Another normal voiceover for my Inktober videos. This time I thought I would record a little bit of the penciling process. That's not something I record often, and I figured, why just use the regular Inktober footage when I can also put a bonus of me actually drawing the image in here. So for those of you who aren't keeping up with my Inktober story, this is the witch's house that Elle, the main character, is going to in the story in the woods. So my original idea for the prompt Juicy was to draw a pie, and actually draw a realistic pie where it looks juicy and shiny and actually catch the details of a juicy pie. But I really liked the way this chapter ended, and I didn't want to force Elle into the house and not leave you guys on a cliffhanger as I do. So this is another one of those prompts where it's quite a stretch. The prompt is juicy, and in the smallest little area you can see there's an apple with some juices on the ground, and that's my juicy, which is fine. These prompts are only to kind of guide you if you need like an idea of what to draw, so I'm not upset when I do stuff like this, because really prompts are just to help you get inspired. I don't want to mess up my story just for the sake of doing the prompt justice. So yeah. And just to say one negative thing, I know you guys don't like it when I poo-poo on my art, but the only thing I don't like about this piece is that I started off kind of pressing down really hard and heavy with the pen. So all of the lines on the left side of the house are way thick, and they don't vary as much as I usually like to, have them be varied. So as I drew, I actually started to draw lighter, and there is more variation and thinner lines that I actually like in these. So the left part of the house is a little sloppy, and the rest of it looks a lot better. Not to mention, oh gosh, I don't want to be negative, but also I super rushed this one. I super rushed this one because I was running out of sunlight and I had to get this done, and Inktober is not good for getting nice pieces because I feel so rushed sometimes. Okay, no more negativity, I promise. Or, I can't promise. Mom, I'll try not to do any more negative thoughts, okay? Alright, let's talk more about the house. So I've never done, I don't think, an outside of a house in that isometric sort of room style that I've been doing lately. The last full illustration video that wasn't part of the Inktober story was of the giant's house, the inside of the giant's house, and this time I am doing the outside of the witch's house. I thought it would be fun to do an outside because in this chapter there's a lot of description about Elle approaching the witch's house, and I'm describing what they're seeing and kind of getting a hint about what the Ant Witch does by looking around the outside of her house. I think there's a lot of, maybe not a lot of personality because, again, I kind of rushed it, but there's a lot of hints of what she does, and there's a lot you can tell about Ant Witch as you look at her house and as you approach her. Because I didn't want to just have Elle run into Ant Witch in this chapter and you know everything about her. I just wanted to kind of keep you guys on a cliffhanger as I do and make you guys mull over about what Ant Witch could be doing for a day before you actually meet her in the next chapter. So of course, this being a cottage in the woods, I wanted to make sure that there was plants growing on the house and that it didn't just look like this perfect house in the suburbs somewhere. So I have these vines and plants growing all over the outside of it. There's logs from the trees around the forest, and of course her exotic garden in the back of her cottage where I started off with carrots, I drew some lettuce, and in the story I talked about there being plants that Elle had never seen before, so I made up some imaginary plants for the garden. Don't ask me what they are, because on the labels of the plants in the garden, I wrote some made-up language that doesn't actually exist, so you'll never know. Because this story doesn't happen on Earth. This story happens in its own little world that isn't in our world. Where there's poisonous snakes and stuff. Yeah. So my number one favorite detail in this illustration are the little anthills in the yard. I think it's so adorable. And the way I did I colored the grass kind of spotty and I just kind of left the anthills white, it really makes them pop and I love it. I think they're so cute, just all of these little anthills strewn about in the yard. And something about anthills almost feels nostalgic because it's not something that I see often. Because as a kid, you played in the grass and you rolled around the grass and you played in yards and you would see anthills. But I'm an adult now and I never go outside, so anthills aren't something I ever see. So that's kind of a weird thing to think about. Something different that I wanted to try was with the smoke. I've done smoke before that looked really good, like actual smoke, and it looked pretty cool, but because this was a witch, I wanted to try to do something different with the smoke, and I think I failed, but I like trying different things and just seeing what works, and I think there was maybe some potential for something that could have turned out a little cooler. But I made it too wet and then the ink kind of got weird looking, but it's not really the focus of the illustration and it's okay. The smoke is something I'm not really that big of a fan of in this illustration. I had a lot of fun working with the texture of the roof because I wanted to make sure that I put detail into this and wasn't just kind of skimping out on it. I do enough of these cop-out illustrations through Inktober that when I do a big one like this, I want to make sure that I actually put in the effort to kind of put in detail and make it look really nice to look at. I really enjoyed the tin roof of the shed because it looks like it could be made out of tin. It was a very simple trick, I think, painting gray on the sides of the kind of waves of the tin and then leaving the tops of the tin white really kind of helps give it that shiny look of metal, which very handy little trick to do. Other than that, I think all of the details kind of came along together. The wood pile's really cute, the tiny little apples are pretty adorable. I think my second favorite part of the illustration is just that little shed area with the wood and just like everything about the little shed and the wood and the details just was really nice, I thought. And here is a detail that I left out of the Inktober story. I took out painting the garden because those are short videos and I would have to speed up the footage so much that along with drawing the house with pencil, I thought it would be nice to include drawing the garden in this one as a bonus. And again, the sun was starting to go down, so I really felt rushed to get this done, and I ended up having a lot of bleeding issues, and a lot of the darker ink was bleeding into the shadows, but I think it turned out alright, and I'm pretty happy with this one. Pretty cute, lots of detail. Ugh, I say cute too much. That's a problem. You guys need to start leaving me angry comments about me saying cute so I can stop. Anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying the Inktober story as it wraps up. I cannot believe that there is only a week left of Inktober. I thought this was going to be my life, but it looks like I'm going to survive, and it looks like you guys have survived my channel being nothing but Inktober for a month, and before you know it, I will be doing prompts again, so I am looking forward to that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!